So, this is a great conversation.
Yeah.
We can talk about this all day.
Cause I can see your energy, and I'm waiting on your frequency to rise. Before you interact with me, before you collab with me, or try, better get up on your frequency. If you tryna see me, share the same space. Discipline stoners. What's your discipline? You a stoner? That's cool. So are we.
I'm high a lot. It's weird to finally say that with pride. I'm high a lot. Being high has helped me with my anxiety. It's helped my social skills.
Love and light. Welcome to Discipline Stoners Podcast with your host Ellevan.
And my name is Winnie.
And we are the gateway drug to mindfulness.
And welcome back to another episode of Discipline Stoners. I'm your host, Ellevan.
My name is Winnie.
And we are the gateway drug to mindfulness. And today, I'm so happy. Oh, okay. I'm supposed to be the most handsomest guy on this podcast. This is complete bullshit, okay? But honestly, today I'm so excited to have our guest, who is the owner, founder of a company called 0DB, who is part of Rhythm and Flow. He's a life engineer creating answers to questions that really don't have full answers yet.
Love it.
I'm excited to dive in to his book. He's also an author. But please put your joints up, your 0DBs, and your waters, whatever you're sipping on, up for Gary LeBlanc.
Welcome.
Thanks, guys. Looking forward.
I just took the lead on that intro.
That was so great.
Yeah, it was solid.
She does the intros, but
And there was no intro, like planning. It was totally off
And
the
normally it feels like there was no intro planning, but I'm actually really impressed by that.
I have just been wanting to pop this open as soon as he brought these.
Yeah.
Well, I think,
I knew that this was on the other side of killing the intro.
yeah,
Beauty.
I definitely want to get into all of this, but I feel like this is a great place to start.
Yeah.
So we're going to sip on these, and I would love to hear more about your story about why you got into the wellness industry. I read a little bit about it, but I'd love our audience to hear about it as well.
Sure. It's, I always preface it by telling people it's not a path that you would choose if you knew what the outcome was going to be at the beginning, because it is, it's definitely not congruent with kind of how you were raised. As far as myself, I was raised risk averse, right? So, you get into these things, and I always talk about life being about motivation and friction, right? And the motivation behind this change was my friend being sick, and when people get diagnoses for cancer and things like that, you always hear about these transformations. So he had lymphoma, and it was fairly aggressive, and it was a very hard thing to witness. And the more it evolved, the more I witnessed it. So we became very close. I became very close with his family. And, I was a vice president for Bacardi at the time. It really is a tale of two worlds. Like, I was in arguably the most hedonistic existence, alcohol. And I was always kind of the health guy in my previous life, right? When I was at Kraft, a plant manager, I was always doing the healthy stuff, smoothies. And so I'm a certified coach and trainer as well. So when that happened, it was kind of that inflection point where I kind of dove in, and my partner, Brian, he was meditating, and literally he was in his backyard meditating. And he said, you know what? I know the e-com business, beverages. Why don't we start a business around the book you're writing? And that's how it started. So
Unlock your unique potential.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it, because there's no one copy fit or like one size fits all copy paste answer.
No.
It's constantly finding what is your stack. And wow, so this was a manifestation of
That's so cool.
two strengths and a collaboration.
Yeah, so what you're seeing there is honestly like, if each thing I did was a business, that's probably number like 5 or 6, because we had drinks across Canada within 15 months of starting. Our 10-year anniversary was January 13th.
Let's go!
But then then we started supplements, and we were getting them co-manned, and we had this organic nootropic way back when. So this is 9 years ago. And I had my first book, and that was published. So this was all about a year and a half after we started, and then we lost everything.
Oh,
So
boy.
What do you mean you lost
our
everything?
partners for the drinks, they got a functional beverages. We lost our first drink. Our sales and marketing partner, they dissolved their business. So we lost all of the sales and marketing potential for the supplements.
Oh, man.
And then our publisher, anyway, I don't want to besmirch anybody, but that fell apart. And then we created a wellness platform called Akuma Life. And then, the whole CBD conversation started about, 5 years ago. And I started saying, maybe we bring the drinks back and we have an anti-anxiety component. And then I started going to conferences, and that's when we met our pharma partners, and they were dialed in cats. Like if you met these guys, they're super dialed in, and they're 3 PhDs, all in genetics from the U of T in their 50s. And they said, there's a better way to do it. Like we've been studying these plants that are non-cannabis. And what it does, it just provides the power of a lot of these compounds without, again, functional beverages. It's just more complicated if you're in the cannabis space.
Yeah.
So we were able to find something that just worked more effectively based on science. And that's where we are now. So the point being, this is like the 7th,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is the 2nd book. So trust me, it's been.
So
That's so tremendous.
congratulations on making it so far.
I feel that so
Seriously.
deeply. It's like by the time you're finally talking about like the thing, it's one of the things.
Oh,
I
man.
so feel that, man. Congratulations on like making it through the story to have something to
Yeah, absolutely.
reference to.
Thanks, brother.
And so let's talk about this for a moment, because we obviously are big fans of both CBD and THC. That's what we build our podcast around. And these drinks are totally don't have any cannabinoids in them at all.
But they give
have
me-
something called Botanical nootropics.
Yeah. So this is complicated, but not complicated.
Okay.
So CBD and THC are cannabinoids.
Yes.
Cannabinoids are just, they're kind of a victim of their name. So they're not related to cannabis per se. Cannabis has cannabinoids,
Yes.
but so do over 100 other plants.
That's right.
Yes.
So the botanicals in these have overlapping compounds
Cool.
with a lot of these plants. And those compounds, when you understand them, they have the ability to regulate certain proteins.
Yes.
And our partners understood the pathways where anxiety lives in the brain. And these botanicals, actually, it's amazing. They work synergistically together. So their research shows that all these compounds, they basically talk to each other. So they bind to these receptors, they talk to each other, and they hyper-regulate these areas of the brain that cause anxiety. So when you're taking CBD or THC, a lot of these compounds that aren't necessarily THC or CBD
Right.
are
Yes.
having those effects. Like when you smoke a joint, you're getting the high, but you're also getting an incredible
the entourage
calming.
effect. That's
Yeah,
what we talk about.
exactly.
We are not THC shoppers. We try and sway the cannabis market to not just go get moonshine weed and THC
Yeah.
value. Like it's about the entourage, about the terps, and that's what I find so fascinating, because I put this in the same category, but it's not. It's like technically not the plant,
Yeah,
but
I know.
it serves
It's plants,
in a
though.
similar
Oh
way.
yeah, it's
botanical.
It's all plant based. It's all organic. The 5 plants that provide that super botanical blend are 2 different hops, and again, this informs how they work together. They're the same family,
Yes.
but they're 2 different hops extracts. So grown in different places, in different methods.
Wow.
So they have different chemical profiles. So we needed both of them. And then we have echinacea, licorice root, and cacao. And cacao has a lot of medicinal properties, a lot of old traditions, spiritual traditions, shamanistic traditions
Yes, sir.
that use cacao. And it's because these compounds that, again, people understood the effect. Nobody really needs to know not the physiology, but the biology or the chemistry of it.
Yeah.
If you know what it's going to do, well, that's kind of enough.
Exactly.
Right? So they might not have understood the underlying nature of
Yeah.
those compounds.
They didn't know it was like
Yeah.
something. Whatever.
But now we do. Well,
Yeah.
we do. Well, our partners do.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's good to be honest about it.
And they're honest, and
Yeah.
and they're amazing. And I've been in this world for a long time, so I'm an expert in botanicals, and we're super proud of it. Everything in there, 0 dB stands for 0 decibels.
Yeah.
Our tagline's quiet the noise, which I think resonates with most people right now. And I joke about it. It also stands for 0 douchebaggery.
right there.
Like,
Don't
like,
be a douchebag,
you
bro.
can. I can't wait to be on panels. You can poke me all day on what's in there, and I know every milligram of everything and why it's there. And we made a premium beverage for a reason. So we're pumped.
that.
We're
Do
pumped.
you have a favorite?
You know what? It's all about occasions, right? So in the morning, it depends how I feel. I still do an organic coffee first thing in the morning because I just love, I just love the experience. I wrote a blog on a French press coffee. Like it's just, I love the experience of slowing things down. So, and then I'll have a sparkling water. So a 0 dB focused sparkling water, maybe mid-morning.
Is that it?
I'll have, so that has just the focus compounds. And then I'll have the plus energy, the focus plus energy at around 12:30.
Yours.
Or if I'm going to work out, I'll also have that as well. And then every day I created this ritual because it's all about rituals, right? I create a ritual around focus and calm. So, I was talking to my wife and, we have a rule. There's no email in the bedroom.
That's a good rule.
And really, there should be no email kind of after 6.
Bro, thank
really
you.
after 5.
Because it never
Because if I can't
stops.
solve it, then why would I want to be exposed to it? So at 6 o'clock, I crack open a can, and you know how habits work, right? It's cue, it's cue, craving, routine, reward, right?
Yeah.
So the cue is at 6 o'clock. So my routine is I crack open a 0 dB, and the reward is I dial everything down, I shut off my email, and I continue with my evening. So it's a very good hard stop. That's how, and there's an occasion for everybody. Everybody has different challenges. Like if you have a tough conversation, maybe you'll have a focus and calm because you're going to be in a conflict situation, and
You're going to need the
you're
cognitive
going to
help.
need a bit of the either hurricane just to be able to stay on your toes, have those reasoning centers kick in, and not be so emotional, right?
Beautifully
So everybody has
said.
their own. Everybody has their own jam.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
beautiful.
Is this just distributed in Canada right now, or
It's just in Canada. We can ship to the U.S. and we're launching in the U.S. later in the
Great.
year.
sick?
And really, what it gets down to for us is we wanted to really understand our psychographic, our demographic, really understand the affinity people have for certain aspects of it, and then when we're ready to go into the U.S., because it's obviously when you scale like that, it's a bigger thing.
yeah,
Incredible.
great.
You are
It's exciting.
You are okay. So you're operating with such a beautiful divine masculine mentally, like you understand it. You're an engineer, but you said something so cool. I just skipped over it. Why would I want to be exposed to it if I can't solve it?
Yeah.
Dude, that type mindful thinking doesn't just come because you understand things engineerically. You've been touched by a mindful bug. Please tell me since when.
Yeah. Well, that's everything.
The heart. You're working for the heart with the brain. It's
Yeah.
incredible. Because most people stuck in that little cycle looking at what they can't fix over and over and over and over and over. And you're just over here going, hey, 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
I don't care.
You know what? It's
Good
that's where the real ember that's kind of keeping everything going is. Anyway, this is a bit of a long story, so
Please, we
I'll
got time.
truncate
Yeah, we
it.
got time. Let's go.
Treat
But
us.
okay, so let's talk about religion, right?
Yes, sir.
So, religion provided structure, and people have their views on religion, and you argue we're becoming more secular over time. Everybody knows that, right? So I was raised Catholic. My mother's a Catholic Acadian. We're a Catholic family. But, it doesn't necessarily resonate with me per se. But religion provided structures. So, my mom had faith that things were going to turn out because she believed in God and all this. So now we're at a point where not too many people are believing that in our kind of environment, let's say. So then, you kind of think, well, what can I lean on? Because I need to have some faith that things are going to turn out.
Absolutely.
And really what it came down to is there was a quote from Heraclitus, a pre-Socratic philosopher, and I guess they called them Ionists. And he was well known for kind of being eloquent with words. And he had this statement, and it was ethos, anthropos, daemon. And what it means loosely translated is character, ethos, is man's, anthropos. Daemon is loosely translated as guardian angel. So character is your guardian angel, or character is fate. So then I'm like, you know what? All my life, that's one thing I know I can count on. If I can define what character means to me, and live to that ideal, everything's going to turn out exactly as it should. Because when you play the character game, you're playing the long game. And the long game always works out. The short game is ego-based. It never works out. So the spiritual side of this is trying to find a structure, which is the engineering part of it, to help kind of demystify what character is. Because that's a complicated thing. Like I ask you what character is. Well, people say honesty, integrity. But, there's a lot of aspects to it. There's generosity. There's self-mastery.
It's you found the formula to manifesting the self you'd wish to become.
Exactly.
So you're like, I follow a lot of philosophers. I started in science in terms of thinking and justifying and how to, answer this God flow source idea, what's going on here. And I've got more answers from Abraham Hicks.
Of course.
So it's more on the esoteric side, but it's such a beautiful way to put it in terms of it's character. It's character. And by saying that, you affirmed a decision I made. I was asked for a collaboration to change something for the wrong reason. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'd like to help you, but I can't. It's like you're that guiding force of character as much as, man, I'd love to fold for you. I'd love for you to be right.
It's the easy decision.
I'd love for you to be right. But unfortunately, this fucker that saves my life every time is always pulling me. And
that's true.
It will keep you out of jail. It will keep you in better relationships. But to have that, would you say that's coming from an esoteric place, or would you say that's coming from something that you've thought of? Because when I'm having those experiences, I am, I guess, kind of following an intention I set before. Like, I guess I thought about it. Or is there a guidance that you tune into that you feel like more isn't you?
Yeah. So this is a great conversation.
Yeah.
We can talk about this all day.
Yeah, I feel like you can go there.
But you see your mind, right? Your mind is this confluence of impressions that have been made over time, right? Epictetus said it's all about impressions left on you. So think of your mind as almost a ball of clay. And when you're a kid, it's kind of the Play-Doh that was fresh, right? Like people could leave deep impressions. And unfortunately, or fortunately, by the time you're 7 or 8, those impressions are fairly deep because that Play-Doh was soft. And then you go on and everything's leaving an impression, right? And if you're lucky, you get to a point where you self-reflect. You get to a point where you start to say, okay, I'm noticing things. And really mindfulness is just about noticing, right? So if you're lucky, you get to this point where all of a sudden everything changes. All of a sudden I'm not on autopilot. My friend released a video today, and autopilot's a common trope, right? Like we just go through life and all of a sudden 5 years goes by and you didn't notice anything. You just behaved.
It's a safety mechanism.
Yeah.
We didn't have that when you had to go hunt and get creative. But like you're lucky enough to spawn in conscious form during when there's a society. Go to school, get a job, dress the same.
It's
You're
structure.
safe. You fucking live and eat. Congrats.
Exactly.
But it doesn't fulfill like you're saying, that noticing, that mindful, what am I doing? What are my patterns? Why am I angry? Do I need to calm down? Why do I hate my mom?
Yeah, exactly. But see, that's the exact point, because all these impressions, those are deep. So this is your personality. Like,
right.
Yes.
A team's culture is like an individual's personality. It's like, this is who you are. So when you notice, really, it's about, okay, now I can hopefully kind of shift kind of the direction of the Titanic a little bit. But there's some things, that you have to accept. It's never going to change. Like if my son or daughter passed away, I've lost a limb.
Yeah.
I can't grow an arm back, Unless you accept that you don't have an arm anymore, you're never going to get over it. You're going to be fighting it. And it's similar to emotional experiences. Yeah. Sometimes we bury them in the untethered soul, living untethered. It all talks about letting those energies flow through. And really, it's all about acceptance, right? It's all about letting go. And you have to notice first. You have to notice it's there. And then, you know what? Some things maybe are going to be too hard to
I was
deal
going to
with.
say, why did you take responsibility at that point?
Well, you know what? Life, again, is about motivation and friction, right? So at some point in your life, if you're lucky, you know, the motivation to do things differently overcomes the friction of that ego that's been created since you've been a kid, right?
Yeah, sometimes, but dude, that's comfort.
But I had,
It's super comfortable.
You're telling
it's
people,
a really easy place to be.
You're telling people to take their clothes off in the snow.
but then you've provided an
avenue,
a tool to go do those things that are uncomfortable
You've
in
blessed
more
us.
comfort.
Perfect.
sit down and enjoy.
So we talk about the drinks, honestly, and I know this is, you know, people will think it's a bit of marketing, but it's really not. Like, the drinks are a catalyst.
Yes.
All they do is provide a few hours. You know, it helps people for a few hours to just, you know, dial down the emotional brain, the monkey brain, the racing mind, whatever you want to call it. But then you got to do the real work. Right? The drinks aren't the real work.
Absolutely.
In a perfect world, nobody would need the drinks. Unfortunately, me having the phone in my pocket is a source of anxiety, even though it's in airplane mode. You know, us having...
you.
It's still an ion battery on your thigh.
Yeah, trust me. In my book, I talk about electromagnetic fields as well.
Yes, sir.
But, you know, they really are just a catalyst,
Yes,
right? So what are you going
yes.
to do with that? Like, what are you going to do with that peace of mind?
Exactly.
And then we have the ecosystem. You know, Andrew and I create the Character Academy, which is the 8 pillars of character. We have these cards coming out, coffee table cards. We have 8 pillars of character, 8 pillars of meaning. We have the concept cards, the fear cards. And then we have the workshop, the courses, and the
You guys are
speaking.
doing workshops.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So that's like, and I believe,
Applicable tools.
well, the number one way to quiet the noise in your life is by having your life aligned with your soul, right? Because that incongruency is where most of the noise comes from. You're living a life that's not aligned with what you want to be doing, but it's fear creating that kind of polarization almost.
It's away from your higher being. It's away from your
Yeah.
source.
And it's not easy. Like, look, you know, sometimes it's not the right decision to connect those two immediately. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it takes you 10 years to gather the courage to do that.
Exactly. And that's where, like, we really zone in on, and that's where we definitely connect on this being a gateway drug to mindfulness. that's
Same.
like we have the same thing. It's like the plant helps us get there, or the substance helps us get there, but without that's what at the Discipline Stoners workshops, it's like, without the tools to know what to do and how to program the mind in that affirmation. And we've seen people on plant medicines with us have like ego retrograde, like it's grabbing at me, the anxiety's coming, and it's like, that's okay. Like it's not an overnight thing. Like, to your point, like sometimes it can take 10 years for someone to accept what's on the other side of that silence. When they sit down and their head goes, wah, like, sometimes I feel in meditation, you gotta let the ego run its course until it's done.
Yeah.
'Cause,
yeah,
like,
you
it
gotta
wi-
let the child kind of scream for a while.
The child.
Yeah.
So have you done some inner child work? Have you feel like tuned into that? Or
Actually-
you find that progressive? Or is that you don't have to?
No, I have no qualms talking about that stuff. Actually, I have this incredible friend. I'll say a friend. I have these weekly ongoing chats with people, and one of my friends is Walter Pennekamp. He's in the Netherlands.
This is Dutch girl here.
Oh, nice. So he's a dear friend of mine, and he was in the Marine Special Forces, and
Oh, wow.
he has a very unique drive. You know, he's an ultra endurance guy. Like I believe he has the world record for running a marathon in a rucksack and Marine boots, and I think he got that when he was 56 or something. Like,
Oh my
some
God.
crazy, some
David
he'll
Goggins
be
shit.
embarrassed if I send him this, but the point being, you know, I surround myself. I'm so lucky. I've curated a pretty incredible group of peers that we can jam on, and a friend of his, Addy Cole. He was Special Forces in the Commandos, and he's got on to essentially, you know, I'm not going to do him justice, but he uses hypnosis to go back and to essentially almost deprogram almost help you release those energies that you're unconscious to.
Love that.
And I just went through a 24-hour, 3 days, 8-hour sessions of hypnosis to kind of go back and to deprogram all those old. So that
When you
was
say
like a couple months ago.
A couple months ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So how has that
Manifested? It's interesting. The things that are existing subconsciously, I believe, manifest themselves almost unconsciously as well. Like, so it'll be more through perception of people close to me that I think I'm going to learn the most. It's kind of like I did, I'm always so hesitant to say what I've done, but let's say I've experienced with something that provided a deep insight into my psychology. And,
like a substance?
Yeah. And I believe what it does is, people observe you differently.
Yep.
And I think it's through observation. So people mentioned after that, you know what, it might not be perceivable to you, Gary. Oh, no, that's cool. It may not be perceivable to you, but your demeanor is different, and your energy is different.
Yes.
So it's not something I can conceptualize.
I feel you.
And I shouldn't. Like,
no, exactly.
My attempt to conceptualize it is kind of the wrong thing as well.
It's the bastardization of the divine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
But I kind of pushed you there. So
No.
But everything that you're saying is a reflection. That's just beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about, I'm sure your very handsome Navy SEAL friends, they're all a reflection. And when people see you evolve and they see your core vibration grow, it's like, it's that beautiful knowing that that the evolution of consciousness is like in the same form, but changing its experience through observing itself differently.
Yeah.
And then when you observe yourself differently, you take up a different space in the universe. It's so interesting.
Yeah. You must, anyway, I try to find answers to things, but I'm fine not finding them, but I like doing the work.
Yes.
It's okay to do the work. There are ways to explain certain things. And Sam Harris, he has a great app called Waking Up. And,
nice.
What you just mentioned, it's kind of, I believe it was Douglas, I forget his last name, but he has this book, I believe it's on having no head. And there's an exercise you can do where you observe something. So say I observe that sign, do all things with love. And in the span of flicking my fingers, try to observe the observer.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And if you can get to a point, you'll realize there is no observer. We're just in consciousness. Like everything is just consciousness.
We can adapt. Like we're not stuck to the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Film taught me that. Like,
yeah?
like that skill is because I'm like, what would it look like as the POV?
Yeah.
And having the ability to change the channel like that from where you think you're sitting mentally, I mean, that's kind of the key to remote viewing and meditation.
Yeah.
Is like you accept your formlessness, and then it's like you train your mind, to go up over your city, and then you're observing down on your city, and it's like, am I making this up? Because this looks really accurate.
Yeah.
And that's you're right. We are the one. We are that thing.
Yeah.
That one thing. But right now it's like you're playing a role, Gary. You're playing a role.
Yeah, exactly. We're separate, right?
But like how cute is that? Like as far as like what we came here to do.
It makes things interesting.
Yeah. It's you.
Well, it makes things functional.
Yeah.
Right? Otherwise nothing would work, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you get that side of the table, I'll get this side. We'll lift it up together.
Come to the idea that this is like where like all of consciousness wants to be, just because the senses is such a miraculous thing. Like
leading edge.
So if you're up out there, it's like they're all trying to get down to a human body to have this cool experience of a lifetime that in
help us.
Consciousness's perspective probably feels just like that, right? Like just go on a ride for a minute and a half ride, and then you'll be back to ever loving source presence.
and maybe the answer's the answer's somewhere in between, right?
Yeah.
Like, the hard part is functioning in a society that's you could argue is kind of broken these days.
Yeah.
But you need to function in it, right? So, you constantly have this this battle of, how can I get through this and be who I want to be, but still make this transition into this world. It's not easy, and I think that's where it's creating most of the anxiety right now.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I've been feeling pretty panicky lately because
Yeah.
of just that. I feel there's like a fracture between who I know myself to be now and who I'm presenting out in the world, and I don't know if tiring is the right word. I'm really
It's definitely draining.
Yeah. Yes, it's draining for sure.
Think of it as a vampire load. So you know what a vampire load is?
No, please.
So you have electronics in here. When you shut all your electronics off, there's often a little light that shows you that power is still getting to it. So those are called vampire loads. So if you look at your life and you look, we're very complex beings. It's not one thing where there's a kind of cognitive dissonance or an incongruency. There's many, right? They're all vampire loads, right? So, I try to take an inventory of all those vampire loads. And really that's the point of our cards when we talk about meaning. In my friends, where are the vampire loads? What's draining me? What are those little innocuous things, those incongruencies that are just day after day just pulling me down? Because you'll notice it's not one thing. And it's hard. It's hard to move everything at once, right? So, you know what? I'm going to look at this and I'm going to just deal with these. I'm going to do this little nudge. I'm going to say, you know what? I gave this person, and this is a stupid example, but I gave this person a half an hour last week. I'm going to give them 29 minutes this week. And next week it'll be 25 minutes. And the week after it'll be 10. Yeah. I'm not willing to tell them, we're done. But you know what? I'm gonna land this 747. And some things are going to be harder to land.
Yeah.
So, but you have to do that inventory, and that's where the cognitive side of it is. Not everything can be ambiguous. Like you gotta put some things down, and some people won't agree. But I think putting some meat on the bones is not a bad thing.
Is that just thought process to you, or do you have a process in which
I have a
to
process.
uncover?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the non-sexy part of everything I do. There's a process to everything.
People love that, though.
Yeah,
it's important
structure.
to be able to give people tools to get to where, this fancy place where you're liberated and free feeling and,
And it doesn't have to be brutal. Like on our cards, and I'll send you guys the cards. They're going to be finalized. But so one of our meaning cards, right? It's family. So there's a drawing on the front, and on the back there's a reflection, right? And this is a simple reflection. It's okay. Think of 3 things in the past month that have nourished you in regards to your family. Think of 3 things in the past month that have depleted you in regards to your family. Just think about it. You don't even have to do anything. Awareness is the pull for things to change. You don't need an action plan. Just be aware of it. Just be mindful of it, right? So.
And that's, I really find that that's where my own resistance is. Like there's something going on right now where I'm trying to uncover it, but my ego is like fully attached to whatever it is. Like it chokes me up. I guess I'm not ready to, but like that, the choice to become aware for me is like, that's where the fear is. It's like you have this choice, and then there's this freedom on the other side, and your awareness is the highway that you have to cross. Yeah. And like you get up to that highway, and all of a sudden you see all these cars moving real fast, and you're not sure if you are going to be able to get across.
Yeah. Perfect. It's like a game of Frogger. Yeah. So perfect. So then what's wrong in that situation? So you've become aware. Well, you've become aware. We're never fully aware. So we think we're more aware, right? We feel like something's wrong, but we don't have faith that if we follow that path, things are going to turn out.
Yeah.
And it comes full circle to the character conversation. Like the first point for me is I have to believe character's faith. If I don't believe that, I'm never going to change, because as soon as it gets hard, I'm going to fucking kick out. It's like Kevin Bacon in Footloose. There's this scene where they're playing chicken.
Yeah.
And it's, Kevin Bacon, I'm not going to give you the plot of Footloose, but he's a city boy in a country town, right? And he's going up against the coolest kid in town, right? And they're playing chicken. Kevin Bacon doesn't know tractors. So Kevin Bacon gets on this tractor and he's learning the tractor and they end up playing chicken. And Kevin Bacon wants to kick out. So there's no way he's staying on this tractor. But he tries to kick out and his shoelace is stuck on the brake. So he can't get out of the tractor. No. So he wins the game of chicken. So the moral of the story is we're always trying to kick out. Your ego is always trying to get you to kick out. So the shoelace is character. The shoelace is how much you believe that if I just be who I am, everything's going to turn out. And it's super hard. It's super hard.
I cannot tell you what an angel you are in our life right now.
Yeah.
You are giving such a grounded, beautiful, pragmatic way of thinking. So much of my faith is blind faith. Jump and hit it in the air, and miraculously I do every time. Yeah. But you can't teach that.
No.
It's not even helpful to point at it.
Yeah.
It's actually like bragging.
Well, and sometimes it takes time, right?
You're actually bringing a beautiful light to a shadow, and thank you for your vulnerability in that, because that was a beautiful way for that to happen.
Yeah. Might as well.
For you to offer such beautiful value and insight in there. And you're right, basically that fundamental thing is it's that choice of awareness.
Yeah.
It sucks sometimes, but how are you going to get across the highway? Because you want to get on you ultimately want to. I believe there's no good and I don't believe in good and bad.
Yeah.
Kind of, because I think that consciousness again is just having a beautiful experience, no matter how you want to manifest it. But it's selfishly for you, if you want to feel better, go through this challenge.
Yeah.
And that's you never thought you'd be pushed and broken that way, But it's fuck, you'll live.
Yeah.
Right, you'll live.
The struggle makes you wiser.
What have been some moments where you've been on the edge and you've been obviously you've just shared about your businesses, but there's been, I know a couple moments where you were just I didn't even see that coming, but you jumped and it worked out.
Yeah. You know what? Nothing I've done, I feel, has been out of courage or bravery.
No?
No.
You plan?
No.
Okay.
No, I was unable to do anything else. It was, and I'll be honest, I don't know why. None of this is natural for me. It's very unnatural for me.
Wow.
I come from a place where, and it's still super hard. Look, I haven't really paid myself in 10 years. I do some consulting on the side, and there are times where we have to compensate each other as partners, but for all intents and purposes, it's been about a decade. Now, obviously, I was in a position where I put myself in a position where I could do that. I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
But none of it feels natural. So
yeah, no, it's not natural. I feel you.
So interesting.
Yeah.
As an artist too, same. I feel you, and it's and it's y'all produce the event and pay all the other musicians and not me. But it's it's because it's purposeful. It's deeper than that. It's bigger than that, and it means more than that. Not only to us, but to those watching. And to your point earlier about the long game, you're right. That long game, that perfect through the hermetic laws, the law of vibration, there's a law of compensation.
Yeah.
So compensation is a divine thing. So it's as much as it seems shallow third dimensional to even prioritize that, it's there is a beautiful bounty at the end of that longer character driven longer road.
But you have
for
to
sure.
believe that.
That's right. And then along the way, you almost got to take your wins as they are.
Yeah, you can't judge. You can't judge. As soon as you start judging the journey, you're going to want to kick out of the tractor.
This is where I wanted to land.
That's kind of the point.
You can't measure.
It's super hard.
You can't measure, and it's and that's tough. As you said, third dimension's a real place. You got to figure it out. Money
hard.
And shit, and opportunities and moving and all this shit, and all these businesses and concepts and things that you want to invest time into, and it really does. I do feel you on calculating things, though. It's not just like complete courage where you're like, I'm just going to like show up and hope to be the best. You do have to calculate where you can contribute value.
Yeah. So I like to say you can't be lazy.
There you go.
Right? Like, and lazy is a judgmental word. You can take lazy to mean whatever you want to mean. But for
it's
me...
all context for person.
Yeah. For me, lazy means you're not doing the work that you know you should be doing. Right? So if you're doing that, then, well, of course, you don't believe that character's fate because character wouldn't allow you to do that.
You would be working on it.
Yeah. So you can't pick and choose, right? It's either you know better. When you know better, I'll never judge you being able to do it or not. Like that's just who knows?
For sure.
It's a time thing. But that flywheel, that you're putting energy in that flywheel. But you don't know when the flywheel is going to have enough momentum to get you through it. But you know that if you're not lazy and you have good direction, you can trust in that.
Yes.
But it's
even if you suck at first. Even if you suck at first, right?
For sure.
Like you got to. And that part of like moving through the mud when you're like, I should be better at this. Like you're like judging yourself so hard. Like for me, I'm established artist. Like I have my 10,000 artists as an artist, but I'm still a humble businessman.
Yeah.
So when I get my ass handed to me in a board meeting and end up doing the gig for a quarter what I projected, I'm like, okay, I get judo flip because this guy's been focusing on it. I'll see you in the cypher, bitch, where I dominate you with my rhymes. But it's like, basically it's like, oh man, it's so awkward. It's just awkward to suck for a while.
It's emasculating. And it's humbling. Like one of our pillars is humility.
Yes.
And humility, it's funny, each pillar has its own little thing, but humility, compassion is the ring that rules them all. So compassion is love, they're interchangeable, right? That's the ring that rules them all.
You can dash that on anything.
Yeah, exactly. You never lose with compassion. Pema Chadron, like everything she's ever said for me is just gold, right? Yes. But humility is what gets you, humility is kind of the antithesis to your ego. It's when your ego puts on the gloves. Well, you know what? No, my humility is going to kick in, and I'm going to be like water. So my ego can hit me as hard as it wants, but humility is saying, you know what? No, I know I'm on the right path, and it's okay that I don't feel like I'm where I need to be right now. But that's all about humility.
And sometimes you get your ass kicked, and through that lens you just said, where you just accept it. That's where I go, all right, thank you. Like, I, as a kid, I did get my ass kicked by the bullies until I became tough enough to fight.
Sure.
Like, it's like, so I guess that's kind of...
the same metaphors.
It's, really. It's like, it's my formula, I guess. Like, I run at it, and I get up and... Next time I'm like a 50%. And then we talk about the vacillating, right, of life. Like, you're like, want an intention, you're trying to grow this way, but then you're going to drop. And that drop can be so... Like, that's where I'm like, I love your groundedness because it's that grit almost. That's like, don't worry. Like, it's this moment is part of something that looks like this. Yeah. Like,
and you have to believe in that. Like, you just have to. Like, do I know things are going to work out, the way I want them to work out? I have no idea. But I know when I see, maybe the easier way for people to kind of connect with it is to really analyze what the metrics are in our life that kind of define how we see success, right? The reason why we're always judging ourselves is because we have these anachronistic ways of looking at success, which is really only about money. It's a very 1980s mentality.
It's so linear.
Right?
It's so linear.
It's fairly basic.
Yeah.
And we know the answer is, okay, look, I don't want to be struggling. There's no glory in fucking not paying your bills. There's no glory in not eating. There's no glory in that. But you got to be really, really honest with yourself. And what's the opportunity cost for me to have more, right? And what's driving my need to have more? So for me, success, I look around success. And when I had my 50th birthday last year, I looked around the table and I'm like, this is my metric for success. Like, I am surrounded by fucking the most character-driven humans. And I've created this in the last 10 years, really. Like, I wasn't surrounded by such mensches in my life. And I'm talking about everybody that I talk to. I have such deep conversations all the time. And that, for me, is very successful because I know that each conversation is turning the flywheel, right? And it's the flywheel to make me believe that, you know what? No, this is right. Like, Walter and Brian and Andrew and my family, like, everything feels like there's foundations there.
Affirmation.
So I think that's how we can start to reframe what that judgment is based on.
Yes.
And then once we reframe it, well, then we still have to fucking eat. We still have to pay the fucking bills.
Right.
But we're not having this recriminating conversation with ourselves where we're fucking losers and, you know what, look at Johnny this way. But you know what?
Comparing.
Here's a last little tool, right? You know, and this isn't being selfish or thinking you're fucking great. This is, okay, you look at this guy and he has a couple $1 billion. And then you look at him and, you know, in that instant, would you trade your life for his? And not for a fucking second would you give up everything you have,
no,
all of your relationships, all of that to have what he has. So immediately your frame changes. It automatically changes. Well, okay, that framing was based on fucking money. That's it. But I don't know his relationships. I don't know anything about this guy. Nothing.
I know that he doesn't have the relationships I have or the tools I
right?
have. So
exactly.
I like these.
If you read the... Sorry.
Please
man.
go ahead.
Go
ahead.
No.
You're our guest, please.
No.
You're giving us so much.
Okay.
So much.
Okay. Well, there's a book called The Midnight Library. And I forget the gentleman's name, but it's a bestseller. It's a great book. A friend of mine referred me on it. And essentially, I'm writing another book, and it's eerily similar. But this book happens during a near-death experience. And they go into the Midnight Library. Now, the Midnight Library it's a manifestation of all the different lives that they could have lived. So think of it as a multiverse.
Yes.
Right?
I love that.
So they're in this near-death place, and each book they pick up is a different life that they get teleported into, almost like that old show, The Quantum Leap. Now, that's an old show that people don't know.
No, it's exactly
Yeah. So in that show, that guy would get into these situations, and he wouldn't know where he's at, what he's doing, and it would be him, but a completely different life, and he'd have to negotiate this weird experience. So she goes through all these, and I guess I can give a spoiler of the book, but the point of the story was none of those lives were her lives.
Yeah.
None of them. They had no meaning. Like, she didn't build any of them. So none of them felt right. So she would live that life for a while, and then she'd be like, yeah, ostensibly this is better, but it's not. Like, my life is my life, right? And when you get to a point where you can just reflect on it and move forward in the right way, then that's the only answer. And then you stop comparing, and things get a lot easier. Anyway, that
was so beautiful and perfect, man.
I think when Ralph was maybe 4 or 5 years old, we started we were starting to work on our own money mindsets and all that, and we were like, oh well, we have $1 billion dog because
I said one day,
even if someone offered us $1 billion for our dog, we'd say no. So basically, we're billionaires.
Yeah. It's a great way to look at things.
We have an asset. We have a thing in a relationship and a partner and a family member.
It's a great way to look at things.
Like, no more Ralph, but $1 billion is like, I'll ride this out. I'm gonna keep with this.
And just think of the Ralph metaphor in every other part of your life.
Exactly.
You know, I don't know what your relationships are like, but you know,
they're rich.
People have families, people have friends, and people who care for you. You know, there's a book I read a lot. Right?
This community?
Fuck, exactly.
Thank you. Sorry, kid.
You know, there's a book called The 5 Regrets of the Dying, I think, or The Regrets of the Dying, and you know, it's a common list. Right? It's, I wish I didn't work too hard. I wish I would have done the things I would have loved to do. I wish I would have spent more time with my family. Like, all these things are like, we know the answer. We always know the answer. So why do we keep on resisting? Why do we keep on feeding this beast that's not going to make us happy in the end?
Because change is hard, I guess.
Change is hard.
Is that the biggest protest, do you think? Like, when you look at someone who's like...
Yeah, I think so. But I think it's beyond that. I think it's just the fear of it not working out. whatever that looks like. And you got to decide what your fear is. Like there's the 5 main fears, right? Fear of poverty, fear of abandonment, fear of mutilation, fear of death. Like there's these main fears. Now mine would be the fear of abandonment. You know, and I don't know why per se, but I was always a scared kid, right? And, you know, and that proliferates in a lot of different parts of your life. And it's that main fear kind of bleeds into a lot of your decisions, right? So you never really, it's not one thing.
And the way an individual chooses to handle those fears that may be the same, oh man, that like abandonment one is like, I've turned all my what I thought was weaknesses into outward strengths.
Yeah.
Kind of like the equivalent of I'll break up with them before they break up with me. It's like before the group outcasts me, I'm gonna fucking dominate all you and kick you out of my life. Like,
Well, it's,
That was the safety mechanism
Yeah.
at the time.
and it can manifest
Yeah.
either way. And Winnie goes the other way with her abandonment issue is like, shrink myself for their comfort. You know,
Yeah.
it's you know, the 48 laws of power, don't outshine the master. It is wise like to do
yeah,
that, but
yeah.
you go in to almost change your character sometimes to suit somebody else's expectation.
Yeah.
So it's like we handled the same issue in different ways.
yeah, well,
Like I fire them and you try to get the job. Like
it's like, so you can go through something difficult and there's post-traumatic stress. Everybody knows about that, but there's
Exactly.
also post-traumatic growth, right? Which is less talked about. But your kind of, that metaphor is kind of post-traumatic growth. It's, you're using the energy from that as being manifested in something that's driving you, whereas post-traumatic stress is something, that energy is kind of holding you back. It's creating a negative energy. And again, it's not a judgment.
Yeah.
You know, it's just people have to see the potential that struggle can lead to a positive outcome.
Yeah,
It doesn't always, but it can.
Yeah, that certainly drives me to do better because, I mean, as much as comparing has been unhealthy, and by the way, I've done a lot of healing that I try not to act like this anymore, I'm actively
Yeah.
not acting like that as much, and I'm adapting more compassion and listening to situations,
No,
serving the
I
highest
feel
good.
that.
But we're also still in ego identities, right? And you have preferences, and you have
Yeah.
a life, and you want to be heard sometimes too. But yeah, it has always kind of driven me to be like, all right, I'm going to get the work of all 60 y'all done. So
Yeah.
it's a later night for me. So it wasn't always kind to me. But as far as like building notoriety, it has benefited me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't slow down to adapt to the pack. I sped up and almost quantum leaped into a lot of those relationships that you say you're grateful for. It's like I got a couple of those too that I constantly reference. And I'm like, I don't know if these people would have found me unless I springboarded myself to a different frequency.
Yeah.
You
No,
know,
I hear you.
because the people, I've never felt like the pressure to adapt due to a status quo because the adapting to my original scenario, like all my friends I grew up with are like gangster ass in jail now, like violent, right?
Yeah.
So if I fully became what my surrounding was at every time, I'd be a hardened criminal. They're like, so I have to always have this, I know it as like a life-saving, if I can choose, it's like will. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, so I have the same thing like in the scenario of the office or the label or anything, any structure that's like, you have to do this because we say so. I'm like, but guess what? No, I don't. Like, so, you know, it's almost turned into a weakness of me not being able to be a good team player sometimes though. So but I'm self-aware of that. And I'm like, before I go like that now on a team, I'm like, okay, what am I going to learn from this? And like, if I need to navigate solo again, I do. But I'm finding better results since all this awareness growth and definitely some inner child work. But
Well, you can't lose. You can't lose with awareness.
right,
You know, there's a great tool. It's called, we create this thing called the weekly Unskillful Journal. So, you know, in Buddhism, there's those unskillful behaviors, right? Envy, anger. These are all unskillful ways to behave, right? And it's our ego who typically, you know, fuels this behavior, right?
Yes.
It's our fears and everything. And so every week, there's this reflection. So we create this little unskillful, and there's 3 main parts to it. So what happened, what triggered it in detail. Like you got to connect with what happened. You got to kind of feel it. Okay. So that happened. Okay. You write about it, and writing's therapeutic. And that's like, okay, what was the opportunity cost of you behaving that way?
yeah,
That is really balancing the ledger. because
Right.
the ego doesn't think about the opportunity cost. It just thinks about winning, but it doesn't look at all the damage it did, right? So now you're like, okay, you write about the opportunity cost. Okay, so yeah, okay. So what did you learn? Okay, so what are you going to do differently next time?
Right.
And again, that is deep awareness.
Yes.
Right. And it's deep awareness of the things you typically don't think about, which is mainly the opportunity cost of things, in my opinion.
I love that. It's like, times like where you're like act like a bull in a china shop.
Yeah.
And you're
There's
like,
a cost.
Oh, and even if it's not explosive, I'm even now being self-aware that like through Disciplined Stoners, like, I mean, you're operating as Gary, like it's exciting. People get to meet you. I'm like, even if people, you know, in that moment that's not explosive, if I act like a jerk a certain way, people can be like, I met Ellevan one time and he was a jerk. Or something. And it's like, you can't let that control you, but it's like, if I could just remain in harmony in my inside to not snap.
You're
not
human,
need to do
you know,
that.
like,
but
you
no,
know.
that's what I'm working on. That's what feels so good. There's always something. There's
It's
always
super
something.
hard.
Yeah, it's great.
Like nobody is perfect.
Yeah.
No.
Jesus, I screw up all the time.
Yeah, it feels
Like it's
good.
constant.
Yeah. No, it
There's
feels
not,
good.
yeah, and there's just nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
That's where we need to get.
See, that's where the self-compassion kicks in, right?
Yeah.
Yes, compassion on everything.
You know?
So I have a bit of a quirky question that I just like your thoughts on. I follow someone on Instagram called The Alchemist, and a video that really stuck with me from her, she talks about how on the planet there are those who see, those who see when shown, and those who don't see.
Okay.
And she essentially is talking about awareness. So, and because we, you know, live in these bodies, in this experience, and there is polarity in the experience, do you think, and because your book is called Find Your Superhuman, do you think that everyone has the ability, you know, on the planet at the same time to become aware? Or will there always be people who are unaware, and that is going to, and she talks about how it's not better or worse.
Yeah,
It's not
so
like
I was going to make that qualifier.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of the community, and goes on both sides, it's very judgmental and very righteous. Right?
Totally.
Like,
Yeah.
the
aware,
opposite of compassion is thinking that, you know, you've figured it out.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's ever aware. Like, if you think you're aware, well, then you're absolutely, completely not aware, right? Like, so...
That's great.
So, and I have to check myself too.
Totally.
I'm by no means a guru, but I work pretty fucking hard.
Yeah.
On trying to make sense of things. So that I'll own, right?
Humble servant of the human experience.
Yeah. But I do work hard on that, and it is some would say maybe a neurotic obsession with trying to figure this out. So your point, like, I always think there's going to be balance, right? And I think we need that. Like, and it's kind of the most basic metaphor, right? You can't have light without dark. It's very Tao Te Ching, right?
That or Jane,
With it, which is, it's kind of how it has to be, because we'll never be fully enlightened. So there'll always be a relative discrepancy between people. And, you know, the further the bar gets here, so maybe the set point has changed, but there'll be 50% above and 50% below that set point. So the set point might be changing, but the judgment will always still be there. Like, we're never going to be fully enlightened. But I think the intention, so that's the caveat, we can all have the intention to be enlightened, whatever that means. We can all have the intention to be more awake, and that drives our behavior, right? You know, character, values, behavior. It's that flywheel, right? So if we value being more awake and being more open, then our behaviors are going to express that. So that's how I would approach that, maybe.
I love that.
Beautifully said.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was such a good. I know. It's like, what else have we got for him? I love the filter of Gary.
No. Or that lack of a filter. I still have a board, so I'm not going to be doing toad venom on the table right now.
I'm down.
That's fair.
When we started this show, we started with a segment called "Do the Tao." You mentioned Tao Te Ching.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So it's like
It's,
we usually read from something like that.
dude, we're just regurgitating stuff that's been
We
known
have
for a
to
long
read
time.
Exactly.
from
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, today we're going to rock a page from this. We do something where we read.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, something
No
like
way.
a piece of wisdom.
Interesting.
Every episode. Yeah.
Don't let me forget. I just got something called a Day of Wisdom or something. It's Leo Tolstoy's most proud work. What? Oh. And no, you guys, I'll gift it to you. He's it's amazing. So each day, so it's kind of like the Daily Stoic and stuff, but this is Leo Tolstoy. So, there's a certain referential, due diligence that's already been done on him that I can, this is interesting. This is a cat who's consumed this his whole life. And he created these 365, so it's every day. Each page is thematic, and he's scoured over 10 years the greatest wisdom.
Whoa.
And it's thematic. And,
let's go.
And I'm telling you, it is, you gotta, I'll send you the link. I just got it last week, and I'm just amazed because it's so well done. And so today,
it helps you.
I just got it, so I'm starting at January 1st. But today, I was January 2nd that I was reading, and it was about faith. So character's faith. I have that tattoo, ethos, anthropos, daemon. I'm not a tattoo guy, but I did get that on the side of my body, and it's kind of like always a reminder. Beautiful. So anyway, the point of that was his theme at the end, after all these pieces of wisdom, was, if you don't live with faith, you're an animal.
Oh.
And there's a lot of judgment in that statement. However, when you read the rest, you get why he said that. Faith is what it's all about. Faith is going to be that perennial driver. So when you said read from things, that book you can read every day. And,
exactly. Nice. Well, that's originally why the Tao, because you pull and it's like the perfect bite-sized knowledge.
You could,
or wisdom.
It's each one's a couple of pages. There's
one page.
There's 73 of them or 77.
It depends on which
which translation.
Yeah.
So the one I had I think was 77. But yeah.
And
it's all about opposites, right? It's all about our ego
Divine
always
balance.
Shows us the wrong way.
Isn't it funny? I've been having fun because I've been working with a high performance coach that's helped change my perspective, even beyond my grasp of understanding. You get that eagle eye view, and I got to the point where I started to look at my own habits. I don't believe you. So, and then I just washed them away, and I don't believe you. And then so I'm doing the same with realities in my head, just selective thinking.
Interesting.
And that groundedness of just almost Tao-like thinking of there's nothing. I'm detached from this idea of this consequence.
The story that's playing out is not, it's just a myth. It's not a story that I have to believe in.
And I was either shown it, recreated it, but regardless, I'm currently creating it. So it's I don't believe you. This is a nice freeing thing, but it's been the simplest version of
it's
my
a good way to frame it. Have you seen The Power of Myth by Joseph Campbell?
No.
Oh, okay. So this is another...
Dude, dropping gems. You guys are going to have a lot to just go Google.
You guys... So anyway,
we'll put these links in the description.
I'm not going to digress too much here, but he was interviewed by Bill Moyer from PBS, I think, back in the day. And Joseph Campbell wrote The Hero with a Thousand Faces, I think. And this series is a 6-part series on the power of myth. Okay. And it's taking place on George Lucas's ranch. And Star Wars is probably the most, it's the most metaphorically accurate story of a hero told in modern times, in 77, as there was. Joseph Campbell refers to it a bunch, but this guy is a scholar of this, of myth, and you'll just appreciate it because he brings everything back to first principles. And when you talk about reframing these stories, he really gets into how everything is a story, right? And it's these stories we've told ourselves, and these stories have functions. These stories created structure, and these stories allowed us to be able to pass on this knowledge so we wouldn't make the same mistakes. But sometimes these stories are built from a bad foundation, and there's these stories that we've proliferated and they've become so entrenched that we have to see it and we have to say, you know what? No, I'm not buying that story anymore.
Yeah, and that neurocircuit groove that leads you to the thought about yourself delivers you to a circumstance that makes a feeling that shoots chemicals that you get addicted to.
Yeah, it's an unfair
Crashing?
game.
It's an unfair game, dude.
yeah.
Crashing?
But
Hey, but you
Look
can always
what
have a
we have.
0 dB to help you.
You guys are funny.
And all these tools. Fuck, man, what a beautiful,
that was
incredible,
so
fulfilling
thanks, guys.
conversation.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I
Learned
certainly
so
hope
much.
it's not the last.
Yeah,
but
no,
our
for
first.
sure.
Yo,
Why would it be?
I love
Jams
it,
are
man.
good.
You're so fucking awesome.
Jams
I
are
appreciate
good.
you,
Jams
yeah.
are good.
Can I read from this?
Yeah, so the prologue would probably be the most, the least boring, because
Or do you want to read from it?
no, you can. So there's a part called the journey. So you can do like however you want to do it. I don't want to micromanage that.
We'll do that. Okay. Find Your Superhuman by Gary LeBlanc. The journey. For some of us, the journey is short and wrought with suffering. For others, the journey is a long celebration of life. In all cases, the journey is all we have. There is no panacea?
Panache?
Oh, there's no panacea. Yeah.
Oh, there is no panacea when we reach the end. What does that mean?
So no panacea means there is no pot of gold. Like, and I know it's a common trope, right? Like the journey is everything, but there really isn't. We know the answers, so we're gonna have to get used to getting okay with things.
Yeah.
So sick. The moment, the here and now, is all we have. For my dear friend Brad, this couldn't have been more true. Brad was a strapping middle-aged man, 6'3", played football in university, was raised on a farm, moved to Toronto, became part of the scene, worked out, had fun, typical. Although typical, he was also unique, as in 1 in a million unique. He had this thing where you could see when he was thinking hard. His eyes
it's
would
bizarre.
drift to the top right, looking at the corner of the room, as if there would be some divine message tucked away.
Yeah.
He would
So quirky.
he would often hum while he was thinking. The hamster wheel was turning hard. When he finally, after a few seconds, figured out what he wanted to say, he would hum and his hands would begin to move erratically. Then he would explain. You would have expected a filtered response after such apparent deliberation. You'd be wrong.
Yeah, Brad.
Brad, more often than not, put his foot in his mouth. Sometimes it was funny. Sometimes it was frustrating as hell. Like the time he told a friend's ex-girlfriend that his friend has moved on.
Yeah, it was so stupid. Yeah, he moved on. He's super happy. I don't know. He was a special cat.
He went on telling her how happy his friend was and how the girlfriend was perfect for him.
Yeah.
While he was saying this, the poor girl's face underwent dozens of contortions.
Oh, yeah. It's like slow motion destruction.
Brad never meant to be malicious. He was just bringing her up to speed and failed to realize that she might not want to hear it. But that was Brad. Everyone knew him for that. They also knew him as the life of the party, a guy with a pure heart and someone too honest for his own good. People who knew Brad loved Brad. I loved Brad. Sounds like Brad had Tourette's.
Yeah. Brad was definitely what would be called on the spectrum potentially, like tendencies that you would have linked to it. Yeah. Yeah.
I was having a drink at a cafe in Amsterdam when Brad called me.
Oh, yeah.
2 days before, I was in Geneva, scheduled to come home. A major volcanic eruption in the heart of Iceland grounded European flights for days,
That was crazy.
preventing me from returning home.
Yeah.
I decided to drive to Amsterdam, providing the option for a direct flight home. Amsterdam became my home for the next 5 days.
Which is a good place to be stuck for 5 days.
Yeah, it is.
Perfect amount. Under normal circumstances, this wouldn't have been a bad thing. Normal circumstances, these were not. Brad rarely made phone calls since his stage 4 lymphoma returned. After a brief remission, he only picked up the phone to text. So when I received the call in Amsterdam, hearing him on the other end was a shock. Hey Gary, what time are you coming to visit me? Brad, sorry, bud. Oh, you should almost read this part. Brad,
Yeah.
sorry, bud. Do you remember me mentioning that I needed to go to Europe for a quick meeting? I should have been home by now, but a bizarre volcanic eruption has delayed my trip home for a few days. What time will you be by the hospital? By that time in his treatment, the drugs were messing with Brad's memory. It wasn't registering that I wouldn't be seeing him a few hours. After 4 years of battling cancer, Brad's body and mind were wary. After 4 years of powerful chemo, blood transfusions, and repeated draining of his lungs, his body was not his own anymore. He was now dealing with uncontrollable bowel movements and bouts of horribly restrained breathing. A positive prognosis for Brad was fleeting. Brad, I don't know when I'll be home. I'm sorry, buddy. I cried. Brad's journey had taken a wrong turn. Trying to make sense of Brad's suffering was mute at that point. No human ever deserves that level of pain. On Mother's Day, 2010, at 9:20 a.m., Brad took his last breath. Fittingly, Brad was alone. Before his death, he was embarrassed to be seen in such a frail state. He would only allow myself and his immediate family to visit. He want people remembering him as a skeleton. He didn't want people remembering him as a skeleton covered by a thin layer of skin. He wanted people to remember the football player who could party with the best of them, the 6'3", sandy blonde Canadian boy. Brad's journey was over. Mine was about to begin.
Yeah.
That's a good place to.
I feel like if that doesn't make you want to go get this book and figure out what this beautiful man has learned after such taking the insight from that experience.
Yeah, it's tricky.
R.I.P. Brad.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep reading this.
Yeah.
But go get that. Find your Superhuman. Where is it?
Oh, it's on Amazon.
Amazon.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
Of course.
Yeah, it was a weird time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a weird time.
I've been pretty much since the pandemic, I've been kind of obsessed with death.
We need to talk about death. Can't be so scared of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We had a dinner about a month ago. The topic was death.
Oh,
Yeah.
that sounds lovely.
Yeah, it honestly does.
Yeah, because it's just we all do it. You know, it affirms life. It's very important. It feels like it's very important, and we don't really talk about it. Feels like it's a beautiful passageway and transition to something that innately we probably know and understand, but our human minds, or at least mine, doesn't have the capacity to absorb that information.
Or want to face
or
it.
want to,
right?
yeah.
But the tragedy is, until you face it, you're really not going to have all that motivation.
Yeah.
Like there's such a bastion of motivation that comes with facing that, because then you finally realize, well, we get back to opportunity cost. Oh, there is an opportunity cost for me fucking the dog for 2 years until I do something, because I'm not going to be here. There's a book called 4,000 Weeks, and the premise is that, like, you have 4,000 weeks, and that's something you can kind of chew on, right? You can chew on weeks, like, right? It makes it a bit more palatable because weeks go by like that.
Yeah.
So like, and then, I think it was Tim Urban. He had this poster, and it was the circles, and each one was a week. And when you see, and again, not all weeks are made equal.
Right.
Yep.
A week when I'm fucking 95 and hopefully jacked.
Yeah.
I see that for you.
You will be. I feel that.
Yeah, the neurosis will kick in at around 80. But that's not the same as my weeks now. Like my weeks now are optimal value.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily going to get better from a physiological perspective, So I have to pay attention. Like, it's all about a weighting, right? And
elongating the good momentums.
yeah, you can't, and it's not about doing more. It's just about kind of doing, and better is a judgment, but it's almost like doing better, just doing things that more evolved with what you want to do. Don't waste that time.
Absolutely. Moving with the intention. And I know, yes, that was a heavy story, beautifully written. Absolutely. I know that there's going to be like light at this tunnel.
Oh,
I know that of course, but no, I know it picks up, but to your point, even with that perspective that was just shared there, me myself right now, like, I am naturally more grateful for like this moment.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, oh man, like, but I'm still here. Like, so I know death can be a sad topic, and like it is, but like it's also not. You're right. If you use it, it's just if you use it to like make more life, so it's like it led to more life.
But that's what it does. Like the Stoics used to do negative visualization every morning. So that's what I do. So every morning I write, okay, what if I didn't have this? So this morning I wrote about, what if I didn't have the sense of smell? And I know this sounds stupid.
No, I say thanks for my senses all the time.
Right? But I was stuffed up last week. I couldn't taste my food. I'm like, fuck.
It's crazy, right?
Imagine if I couldn't fucking taste my food all the time.
That's right.
Like, I enjoy eating so much that, wow, this sucks. So I wrote a paragraph. This is the practice.
Beautiful.
What if I didn't have smell? You write a paragraph. Oh, this and this. By the end of it, you're right. I'm so fucking grateful I can smell. But that's the point. The reason why I feel something is because I reflected on my life without it. And you do that every day about the most innocuous things. Like, what if I didn't have my right hand?
Dude.
Well, there could be a lot of jokes there. but
I'd be really pent up.
But I write with my right hand. I brush my teeth with my right hand. And all I could learn is like, wow, I take this for granted. Like, what if, so.
I say things
so
like
that's
walking
the point.
or legs. Like, dude,
That's
big
cool.
time.
You got to reflect. You got to reflect on it to give it meaning. And that's the same as death, really. You don't want it to, weigh you down. You don't want to be fearful of it your whole life and create fear, but you want to pay attention.
Yeah.
We're not going to live forever.
Pay attention.
Yeah.
I love that intention.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's all about mindfulness.
My gosh.
Great.
Do you do a fun fact?
No, I
you
never
don't.
do a fun fact.
I
when
ask
we
it
have a
every
guest.
time there's a guest.
Fun fact.
I love it.
I love fun facts. I say it all the time.
We're about to close this episode, but I miss it already.
Right on. Yeah, no, that was a good jam.
This is beautiful. Yeah.
So blessings. Do you want to leave the audience or with
where
anything
can we
specifically?
find
Yeah,
you?
where can we
What
find
should
you?
we do?
Oh,
Tell us how we can support you.
Yeah, you know what? You can find me on Instagram. My name's Gary James LeBlanc. And 0DB is our drink. Everybody saw that already. And, we have the Character Academy that's launching this week, actually.
Very cool.
So at characteracademy.io. And, you'll see Andrew, my partner. He's a great cat. And, so anyway, that's, you'll see me around.
That's
Awesome.
beautiful. Well,
thank you so much for coming on the
thank
show.
you.
Yeah,
we'll have
blessing us.
We'll have to do a update episode and see where things are.
Yeah,
in the
100%.
in the next episode.
Yeah, the next 6
life.
months will be pretty
fun.
Yeah, pretty interesting.
I love that word, interesting.
Yeah, interesting. I don't want to
using it a
label it.
lot.
We're ready for interesting. We're
Yeah.
ready for interesting.
Interesting's
If you're
good.
ready for interesting, toss something in the comments below. Go find Gary. Check out his book, Find Your Superhuman. Check us out on Patreon. Subscribe. Tell a friend. And be nice to your neighbor.
Love you guys.
Love you guys. Bye.
Beauty.
Disciplined stoners. What's your discipline? You a stoner? That's cool. So are we.
I'm high a lot. It's weird to finally say that with pride. I'm high a lot. Being high has helped me with my anxiety. It's helped my social skills. Well, it's helped me feel okay about my shitty social skills. It doesn't make my social skills better, but it sure does make sitting in that awkward moment in a social interaction a lot more bearable. You know, that moment where no one in the group has anything left to say, and you desperately want to yell at all of them, just say something. Being high makes that hilarious and not torture.
Yo, it's Ellevan from Anger Town. These plants just help me chill out. Found focus, found confidence. All of a sudden I was productive, less protective, more progressive. Yeah, we talk about stuff like I'm a next sommelier, but this is about a medicine, baby. We wish everyone a mindful life. It's been a helpful tool for us. Whatever the route to peace, it's each individual's journey. And the more we communicate, maybe we can all help each other out. Love and light. Welcome to Disciplined Stoners Podcast with your host Ellevan,
And my name is Winnie.
and we are the gateway drug to mindfulness. And that's Ralph. Cause I can see your energy, and I'm waiting on your frequency to rise. before you interact with me, before you collab with me or try, better get up on your frequency. If you tryna see me, share the same space or breathe anywhere near where I be. If you tryna get by, then your vibe gotta rise. Yeah, I'll tell you.